Your water is full of gross stuff. Chemicals, pesticides, microplastics, I mean, they gotta go somewhere, right? And that stuff is pouring out of every tap in your house, corroding your plumbing, drying out your skin, and making your food taste weird. I was curious about whether a built-in whole-house water filtration system would really make a difference. So when SpringWell reached out and asked if I'd check out their whole-house water filter system, I was intrigued. SpringWell claims this is a DIY-friendly system, and I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty skeptical of that claim because, quite frankly, my plumbing skills are not that great.
Oh, come on!
So I figured I would put their claim to the test. Can a regular guy with 10 thumbs who pretends to do woodworking on YouTube actually install a filtration tank, a sediment filter, and a water conditioner with no leaks and make water come out the other end of it? We're about to find out. Let's do this. Hey everybody, hola amigos, Lee here from Busted Knuckle Woodworks. And today I'm putting my admittedly not so great plumbing skills to the test by installing this SpringWell CSF1 whole house water filtration system. And this SpringWell FS1 salt-free water conditioner. And even though my plumbing skills are de la merde, as the French say, I'm hoping that this will fit within the narrow confines of my skill set. I mean, I hooked up my own washing machine. What could go wrong? So this is the CSF1 system, which SpringWell recommends for homes with up to 3 bathrooms. And we have 3 bathrooms here, so this is what we'll be installing today. They also have a CSF4 for homes that have between 4 and 6 bathrooms, and a CSF Plus for structures exceeding 7 bathrooms. Choosing the right capacity for your home assures that you won't see any drop in water pressure. Besides that, they're all very similar, except of course, higher capacity systems have bigger tanks, bigger filters, and more media, but otherwise very much the same. So let me show you what you get here with the CSF1, which is a combination of their CF1 filter and their FS1 water softening system. This is the carbon filter tank. This is what contains the actual filtration media, and we'll talk about how that works in a minute. The sediment filter, which removes particulate matter, the conditioning tank, which addresses the hard water scale buildup that damages fixtures, appliances, and water heaters, and several fittings, which we'll see in action as we go along. If you get one of these, keep in mind that some of these parts may look a little different than what you see here. Maybe different colors, different materials, a slightly different design, whatever. Nothing to worry about. SpringWell is constantly refining and improving this system, so things will change. No big deal. There are a couple of other parts here that SpringWell doesn't include with the base system, but you can purchase as add-ons, which I highly recommend you do. The first are these neoprene jackets that fit over the tanks. Just makes it look a little nicer and protects the tank from exterior damage, scratches or whatever. And these. These are bypass valves that let you bypass the tanks altogether after the system is installed without having to disconnect or re-plumb anything. In case there should ever be an issue with the tank or with the media, which is of course highly unlikely, you can just turn these valves and bypass either tank. One thing I do want to mention is that all of these components are NSF certified, meaning they've undergone rigorous independent third-party testing to ensure they meet specific standards for quality, safety, and performance for parts that come into contact with drinking water. In my opinion, probably the best feature of this system is the broad range of contaminant removal. Unlike many other systems, this SpringWell targets all the most common bad stuff in household water, including heavy metals, chemicals, organic matter, and particulates. And that's because of the multi-stage design they call ActiveFlow technology. Let me explain how that works. The first stage happens here at the bottom with a process called kinetic degradation fluxion, or KDF. This uses special media that targets chlorine as well as heavy metals like lead and mercury and a whole list of other stuff. It also protects the rest of the system by preventing bacteria growth and helping to extend the life of the other media. Then up here we have the catalytic carbon media that also targets chlorine and hydrogen sulfide plus organic compounds and a whole host of other nasty chemicals, including PFAs, also known as forever chemicals. The EPA has recently rolled back restrictions on the PFA levels that are allowed in municipal water, which is, of course, of great concern. And a system like this will help mitigate that. Up here at the very top is where you'll find SpringWell's Vortex design, which creates a swirling action that provides very close and prolonged contact between the water and the filter media. Exposing as much surface area as possible for as long as possible is key to the effectiveness of the SpringWell system. Next, you have the 5-micron sediment filter, which physically traps particulate matter smaller than a red blood cell. Stuff like microplastics, suspended soil, rust flakes, scale from pipes, and many types of waterborne bacteria. And finally, of course, the FutureSoft salt-free water conditioner. This isn't technically a water softener, but it has the same effect. It doesn't trap minerals like a traditional salt-based water softener. It actually crystallizes them so they can't stick to anything. And that's what prevents that nasty hard water scale buildup. In fact, this will actually reverse scale buildup that you already have. And there's no flushing, no draining, no harsh chemicals, no lugging heavy bags of salt from the big box store. And best of all, none of that slippery, slimy feeling you get from salt-based softeners. It's just way, way easier to deal with. As I mentioned before, setting up the system isn't too difficult. Probably the most intimidating part is the pre-plumb. That is, preparing your existing plumbing to accept the SpringWell system, which in most cases will involve cutting into your home's incoming water supply and adding several fittings, depending on what you're dealing with. For older homes, that's most likely going to be copper. For newer homes, you may be dealing with PVC, and for the newest homes, maybe even PEX. You'll see we've tapped into the incoming water line here. This would obviously be a lot easier for a house with a basement or a crawl space where getting to the plumbing is much more convenient. Unfortunately, most of us here in the South don't have basements or crawl spaces. The incoming water here is buried about 2 feet down, so this all had to be dug out by hand. Not an easy job, let me tell you. The idea is to get everything you need plumbed up to the point of installation. And for me, that's going to be this corner of my garage. My friend John Benningfield and his nephew Jacob Morgan with ABC Home and Commercial Services helped me tremendously with this setup. We have the incoming water line here and the line that goes out to the rest of the house here. And the system components will all go in between. We have ball valves on both of these lines and a bypass that lets us take the entire system offline instantly just by closing these 2 valves and opening this one, which is how I have it now. So of course, the house has water right now that's being fed through this bypass and nothing is flowing through this loop yet, as you can see. The first thing you need to do is prep the tanks, or more precisely, prep the media in the tanks. You'll see that the water conditioner tank already has a tank head installed. The carbon media tank doesn't come with a head installed, but that's easy enough to do. It comes shipped with this cap, which you'll remove. You won't need this again, so you can just throw it away. Grab your tank head and slip it on so that the screen inside the tank head fits over the opening in the tank. Push it down so that the threads catch, then screw on the tank head by hand. You really do need to torque this down quite a bit, so get yourself a screwdriver and insert the handle into the tank head inlet and give the whole thing a bear hug while you crank on it as far as you can go. I should mention here that you get one shot at this. There are no do-overs. So be really careful not to cross-thread this. Once you get this put on the tank, this is a permanent seal. It's considered a permanent connection. You cannot remove it. There's even a warning on top that says catastrophic damage to plumbing if you remove this once it's attached. So, it's not hard, but just take your time with it. Next, we're going to get some water into these tanks. So line up the bypass valve, you know, the one I recommended that you buy, over the tank head connections and tighten those by hand. Get them good and snug. Then attach the two male NPT fittings onto the bypass valve and tighten those. You're going to do this on both tanks, of course. These bypass valves are oriented like any standard bypass valve. The water flows in the direction of the handle. So when they're turned like this, the water will flow straight through, and when they're turned this way, the water will loop through the tank. Take the hose bib they give you and attach it to the carbon tank on the side that says inlet. Then take a garden hose and attach it to the bib. Make sure your bypass valves are open. Turn the water on about halfway and let it run until water starts coming out the other side. Then go ahead and turn off the water and shut off the bypass valves. Again, you've got to do this on both tanks, of course. We're going to let these soak for 48 hours, then we'll come back, flush the tanks, and finish the rest of this install. See you in 2 days.
48 hours later.
We filled these tanks a couple of days ago. The final step is to flush the standing water inside, and then we'll be ready to hook up these bad boys. Starting with the carbon filter tank, grab that hose bib and hook it up to the inlet side. Attach your garden hose, then open up the bypass valves. A little water will probably squirt out here, that's okay. Then go ahead and run the water for about 5 minutes. The water should be running clear. Then we're just going to reverse the process. Attach the hose bib to the outlet side, and again, run water through the tank for about 5 minutes. And we'll do this for the conditioner tank as well. Once that's done, everything is ready to go. I'm just going to bring these inside. Remember, these are full of water, so they're going to be kind of heavy. So I've gone ahead and wrapped these tanks with the neoprene jackets I showed earlier. I want to connect this in as small of a footprint as possible. The order goes carbon media tank first, then the sediment filter second, and the water conditioner tank third. And the water conditioner tank is a bit shorter than the filtration tank, so I think I can arrange these side by side and raise the sediment filter a little bit, and I think that should work. The system is pretty flexible with the types of fittings you can use. Copper, PVC, PEX, those will all work. I'm going to use these corrugated water connectors. These are what you typically use for a water heater installation, and this way I won't need to deal with measuring and elbows and so forth. Now this sediment filter will be pretty heavy, especially once it has water in it, so we definitely want to mount this pretty securely. They give you this mounting bracket and some lag screws for that. I've screwed this 2x4 to a couple of studs in the wall, and I'll mount the bracket to that. Then I'll attach the sediment filter cap to this bracket. You see they mark which side is the inlet, so I'll orient this so that the water flows in from the left. There's a gasket here under the lip of the filter housing. They give you this little tube of lubricant, so take that and smear it generously on both sides. Take the sediment filter and drop that into the housing, and there's a nipple on the bottom that it fits onto, and then screw the housing into the filter cap. They also provide this spanner wrench so you can torque the housing into the cap, make sure everything is nice and tight. There we go. These corrugated pipes have female fittings, obviously, and all of the connections in the system are male except for these two on the sediment filter. So I'll grab 2 of these 1-inch PVC nipples that I've already applied plumber's tape to, and I'll install one on each side of the filter housing. So now I'll go ahead and connect this incoming water line directly to the inlet side of the carbon filter tank. These are marked, remember. It says inlet right here. You want to orient the tank so that the bypass valves face toward the wall. This will keep them out of the way and protect them from anything happening out here. From this point, it's very much a process of connecting the dots. I'll take this corrugated piping and connect the outlet of the filter tank to the inlet of the sediment filter. Then another corrugated pipe from the outlet of the sediment filter to the inlet of the conditioner tank. Then from the outlet of the conditioner tank to the other end of the loop, which is where the water supply continues to the rest of the house. Okay, so let's review. We've got the incoming water line going to the inlet of the carbon filter tank. We have the outlet of the carbon filter tank going into the inlet of the sediment filter. We have the outlet of the sediment filter going to the inlet of the conditioning tank, and then we have the outlet of the conditioning tank going to the outgoing line to the rest of the house. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through, I'm going to torque these all down, make sure everything's nice and snug, and then we're ready to test the system. First, make sure that any valves on your loop are fully closed. Same for the bypass valves on both tanks. Go inside the house and open the cold side of a bathtub faucet all the way. Next, open the loop valves and close your bypass valve if you have one. At this point, water should be flowing through your connections, but not through the tanks yet. And inspect the entire system for leaks. If none are found, slowly open the bypass valves on both tanks. At this point, water should be flowing through both tanks. Check around the collars on both tanks for any additional leaks. If you've done everything correctly, water should now be flowing through the entire system. Check the flow to the bathtub faucet. It's normal to see a little bit of sediment at first. Just let the water continue to flow for at least 5 minutes. And as I mentioned before, we're not seeing any drop in water pressure, so that's good. Continue to check for leaks. If everything stays dry and the water is running clear, congratulations, you've successfully installed the system. So let me tell you about the things I really like about this system. First, as you've seen in this video, it's extremely DIY friendly. If you've ever installed a water heater, a garbage disposal, a washing machine, you can handle this. It's compatible with any plumbing you're likely to find in a typical American home, including copper, PVC, or PEX. It takes up hardly any room, and there are lots of connection options depending on your particular setup. Another thing I really like about the SpringWell system is that it's very worry-free and extremely low maintenance, especially this salt-free system. You'll need to replace the sediment filter about every 6 months. The carbon filter media has a capacity of 1 million gallons and will need to be replaced about once every 10 years based on average use. And that's pretty much it. No salt, no chemicals, no electricity, no flushing, no draining. Gotta love that. Best of all, this system comes with a 6-month money-back satisfaction guarantee and a full lifetime warranty on all the fittings, valves, tanks, tank heads, housing, media, everything in the kit. There aren't many investments you can make in your home that pay off as quickly as a system like this. You're ready to enjoy years of cleaner, healthier, better tasting water, cleaner clothes, softer skin and hair, and all the other benefits of the SpringWell whole home water filter and conditioning system throughout your entire home from the moment you finish the install. Less wear and tear on your washing machine, water heater, and plumbing fixtures saves you money too. Not to mention the overall financial value it adds to your home. Be sure to check out my link in the description for more details on all their systems, information about water filtration in general, generous financing options, and more. And remember to use code Busted Knuckle Woodworks 10 for 10% off your SpringWell purchase. Until next time, thanks for watching. Adios, amigos.